This is not like the lecture that you may have seen me give before. This is a very pragmatic lecture. And one of the reasons that I had agreed to come back and give this is because Gabe had told me that, and many other faculty members had told me that they had gotten so much tangible value about how to get more done. And I truly do believe that time is the only commodity that matters. So this is a very pragmatic talk, and it is inspirational in the sense that it will inspire you by giving you some concrete things you might do to be able to get more things done in your finite time. So I'm going to talk specifically about how to set goals, how to avoid wasting time, how to deal with a boss. Originally this talk was how to deal with an advisor, and I tried to broaden it so it's not quite so academically focused, and how to delegate to people. Some specific skills and tools that I might recommend to help you get more out of the day. Procrastination. If you can lick that last one, you're probably in a good shape. And really, you don't when you're actually just, doing IM or email or something. But all of this will be posted on my website if you want to know when to look up. Any slides that have a really make sure that you got that one. Right? And conversely, if it doesn't have a red star, well, so very bad at dealing with time as a commodity. We're really good at dealing with money as a commodity. We're, as a culture, very interested in money. How much somebody earns is a status thing and so on and so forth. But we don't really have time elevated. And one of the things that I noticed, people equate time and money, and they're very, very equatable. The first thing I started doing was asking my graduate students, well, how much is your time worth an hour? Or if your time, well, most people don't realize, let's say you make $50,000, it probably costs twice that in order to, there's heating and lighting and other stuff. If you get paid $50,000, hourly rate, you begin to get some sense worth an hour. And when you have to make trades, should I do something like write software, or should I outsource this? Having in your head what you call an hour is really kind of a staggering thing to change your behavior. If I free up 3 hours of my time for the same thing, of course, Ben Franklin did that all the time. So you got to manage it, and you got to manage it in the credit card industry possible. And that's but most people do it at least. So I'm going to talk specifically about how to set goals. You can look at the wasting time, how to deal with a boss, and really your advisor, how to draw actually academically focused, and how to delegate to people. Some specific skills that all of this will help you get more out of my way. Any slide you can look at that real obscure shape you got that. And really, actually just doing IM or doing very bad. But all of it is listed on my list. I want to know when to look up. Any slides that have a really obscure you got that step. So you got to do it just now, and you got to manage it. But most people do like dice farming or outsource this, and that's having in your head what you call an hour is really. But most people do it at least staggering things to change your behavior. Because if I free up 3 hours of my time, they're the same thing. And of course, Ben Franklin knew that a long time ago. So you got to manage it, and you got to manage it the credit card industry possible, and that's too. So, but most people do at least too. So, faculty or PhD students of the history department? Do we have any history people here at all? Okay, anybody here is from history? Find Chris right after the talk, because he's currently in his sophomore year at William & Mary, and he's interested in going into a PhD program in history down the road. And there aren't many better PhD programs in history than this one. So I'm pimping for my nephew here, all right? Let's be clear, all right? If you're a salesperson, 80% of the revenue is going to come from 20% of your clients. And you better figure out who those 20% are and spend all of your time sucking up to them, because that's where the revenue comes. So you've got to really be willing to say, this stuff is what's going to be the value. Cliches is planning to fail, and failing to plan is planning to fail. And planning has to be done at multiple levels. I have a plan every morning when I wake up and I say, what do I need to get done today? What do I need to get done this week? What do I need to get done each semester? That's sort of the time quanta, because I'm an academic. And that doesn't mean you're locked into it. People say, yeah, but things are so fluid. You know, I'm going to have to change the plan. still very, very long. So looking at the four quadrants, if you've got a quadrant where things are important, so it's and do soon, important and not do soon, pulled up my shirt to show the scar, and I said, yeah, I look good on the outside, but the tumors are on the inside. You know, he just ran back to his cruiser. And so that's one positive law enforcement experience for me. So the police have never come because I crossed something off my to-do list. And that's a very powerful thing because you just get all that time back. The other thing to keep in mind when you're doing goal setting is a lot of people focus on doing things right. I think it's very dangerous to focus on doing things right. I think it's much more important to do the right things. If you do the right things adequately, that's much more important than doing the wrong things beautifully. All right? It doesn't matter how well you polish the underside of the banister. Keep that in mind. Lou Holtz had a great list. Lou Holtz has 100 things to do in his life. And he would sort of once a week look at it and say, you know, if I'm not working on those 100 things, why was I working on the others? And I just think that's an incredible way to frame things. There's something called the 80-20 rule. Sometimes you'll hear about the 90-10 rule. But the key thing to understand is that a very small number of things in your life or on your to-do list are going to contribute the vast majority of the value. So if you're a salesperson, 80% of the revenue is going to come from 20% of your clients. And you better figure out who those 20% are and spend all of your time sucking up to them, because that's where the revenue comes. So you've got to really be willing to say, this stuff is what's going to be the value and this other stuff isn't. And you've got to have the courage of your convictions to say, and therefore, I'm going to shove the other stuff off of the boat. The other thing to remember is that experience comes with time, and it's really, really valuable, and there are no shortcuts to getting it. So good judgment comes from experience, and experience comes from bad judgment. So if things aren't going well, that probably means you're learning a lot and it'll go better later. This is, by the way, why we pay so much in American society for people who are typically older but have done lots of things in their past, because we're paying for their experience, because we know that experience is one of the things you can't fake. And do not lose sight of the power of inspiration. So Randy did in an hour-long talk, and we've already hit our first Disney reference. Walt Disney's quote. Walt Disney has many great quotes, but one I love is, "If you can dream it, you can do it." And a lot of my cynical friends say, "Yada yada yada," to which I say, "Shut up." Inspiration is important, and I'll tell you this much: I don't know if Walt was right, but I'll tell you this much: if you refuse to allow yourself to dream it, I know you won't do it. So the power of dreams are that they give us a way to take the first step towards an accomplishment. And Walt was also not just a dreamer. Walt worked really hard. Disneyland, this amazes me, because I know a little bit about how hard it is to put theme park attractions together, and they did the whole original Disneyland park in 366 days. That's from the first shovelful of dirt to the first paid admission. Right? Think about how long it takes to do something, say, at a state university. By comparison. So it's just fascinating. When someone once asked Walt Disney, how did you get it done in 366 days? He just deadpanned, we used every one of them. So again, there are no shortcuts. There's a lot of hard work in anything you want to accomplish. Planning is very important. One of the time management cliches is planning to fail. Failing to plan is planning to fail. And planning has to be done at multiple levels. I have a plan every morning when I wake up, and I say, what do I need to get done today? What do I need to get done this week? What do I need to get done each semester? That's sort of the time quanta, because I'm an academic. And that doesn't mean you're locked into it. people say, yeah, but things are so fluid. I'm going to have to change the plan. I'm like, yes, you are going to have to change the plan, but you can't change it unless you have it. And the excuse of I'm not going to make a plan because things might change is just this paralysis of I don't have any marching orders. So have a plan, acknowledge that you're going to change it, but have it so you have the basis to start with. To-do lists. How many people here right now, if I said, can you produce it, could show me their to-do list? Okay, not bad, not bad. The key thing with to-do lists is you have to break things down into small steps. I literally, one from my to-do list, and it was the fact that I'm going to do it, I put get tenure. That was naive. And I looked at that for a while and I said, oh, that's really hard. I don't think I could do that. My children, Dylan and Logan and Chloe, particularly Dylan, is at the age where he can commute his own living room very much. But he doesn't like to. And Chris is smiling because I used to do the story on him, but now I've got my own kids to pick up. But Dylan will come in and say, I can't pick up my room, it's too much stuff. Not even a teenager who never got that move. And I say, well, can you make your bed? I can do that. Okay, can you put all the clothes in the hamper? I can do that. And you do 3 or 4 things, and then it's like, well, Dylan, you just cleaned your room. It feels good. Here's it. Everybody's happy. Of course, I've had to spend twice as much time managing him as I could have done it by myself, but that's okay. That's what being a boss is about, is the other thing. No matter how small it is. The last thing about to-do lists or getting yourself going is if you've got a bunch of things to do the ugliest thing first. There's an old saying, you have to be a frog, don't spend a lot of time looking at it first. But if you have to do it, don't start with the small thing. Alright, this is the most important slide in the entire time. If you want to leave after this slide, you can not be afraid because it's all down here. And this is Blake the Stolen, this is Stephen Covey's great contribution to the world. He talks about it.